Dr. Fauci has continued on from the Trump administration to the Biden administration. Dr. Birx, not so much. And they were the two sort of front-facing scientific members of the Trump team until Scott Atlas, the guy who doesn't understand disease but thinks it's great for a lot of people to get it, took their spots kind of. Well, Fauci came out of it with a great reputation. Dr. Birx apparently a little bit less so. And so she did an interview with Face the Nation addressing some of those concerns, giving a little bit of information about what it was like behind the scenes with the Trump administration, dealing with the pandemic. And we're gonna evaluate a few of her answers. With the first being, trying to get an idea of, from the inside, how serious did Trump actually take this thing?
Do you think the president was just distracted by the political implications in the campaign?
You know, I always wonder that. And I mean, the worst possible time you can have a pandemic is in a presidential election year. I think the White House personnel were very focused on this pandemic in March and April. I think once the country began to open and it was clear to me that they weren't going to follow my really gating criteria that I had worked hard on.
How to open restaurants, how to let people dine indoors.
I combined all of that together for these great gating criteria. So in calculating everything with the slow reopening, I didn't think anyone could get to phase 3 until August. And you can see in the states that followed.
Okay, so how serious did they take it? Look, it's kind of a stupid question to ask because we know how serious they took it, not at all. But she says that in March and April, they took it pretty seriously. I mean, I remember like after 9 days, he said we're gonna be reopening on Easter because it's gonna be gone by then.
Yeah,
like,
what point? When?
April was not a month where like they closed it out strong and then they lost some steam in May. She's giving some insider access, which can be useful for the historical record. But even now, in an interview, which I think a lot of people are seeing as an attempt to sort of clean her reputation, that's sort of carrying water for the Trump administration to pretend that they gave a damn for even 2 months.
Yeah. Oh man, Deborah Birx is a very conflicted and interesting character in all of this because she was pretty much the only one who could get through to Trump because he liked her scarves and he thought she was very elegant. Literally, that's what he said. Mm-hmm. So he was mad because I believe the CDC had gone over his head to announced that it was, the pandemic was far more serious. And so then he shut his ears to all the science because he was worried about the stock market like everyone was who doesn't have a soul. And then Deborah Birx was the only one to get through to him. And I think she had a different role to play because whereas Fauci was demonized, it was seen like Deborah was like, the Trump whisperer. And I think she understood that too. So I'm not gonna say that she was, I think like sort of colluding or condoning his lack of response, because I think she was also put in a horrible position, but I also think she was not brave. I think the word for her was definitely not brave. I think the word for Fauci, brave. Word for Deborah Birx, more of a go along than brave. And I think this moment required one to be more brave than a go along. Anyway, we can continue.
Yeah, we will, and we have more of her. Yeah, I think. Look, there is an alternate world where Fauci could have done more. I don't know that I believe it would have mattered aside from possibly getting him fired earlier, or getting fired, I should say.
Right.
I don't know, it's possibly could have done more. And I am trying to be fair to how we evaluate Fauci versus how we evaluate Birx. But I feel like there are some pretty big differences that are gonna be hard for Birx to get past. But anyway, she is offering us that behind the scenes information. Check out the Damage Report podcast each day, wherever you get your podcasts, whether Pocket Casts or Stitcher or iTunes. You can join me as I give you the news and stories you want, with a range of co-hosts and interview guests jumping in on the fun each day. Again, that's the Damage Report, wherever you get your podcasts. And if you get them at iTunes, don't forget to rate and review. Sometimes I'll read them live on the show.